So this talk is cloud tech for startups. Check pa lang. So a background of myself, as Iggy mentioned, I've been an AWS Community Lead for nearly a decade, and these are all my certifications that are AWS related. Basically, I've been a developer on the background, or that's how I started. And my preference is still PHP. Sa mga mahilig sa mag-PHP there. And we still use it until today. For 19, 20 years already. Okay. And of course, AI is very popular. So I would also encourage everyone to get the AI practitioner. Yesterday, I gave a talk to 500 people about AI as well. So do check that out. And I'm also a podcast founder. We have a booth outside. Do check it out as well. Okay, so our agenda, introduction, starts up in the cloud. Who uses the cloud? What is a startup, or the DNA of a startup? Why should startups use the cloud? And what are the AWS startup programs available? Right? So before we begin now, we will have a startup survival quiz. Right? Siguro a show of hands here, who wants to work, or who's working, or who plans to work, anything related to startup lang. May show of hands lang, kung mahilig sa startup, magbasa ng startup, or anything like that. No? Ayun, so yung iba siguro, mas corporate yung gusto nyong track, right? So we'll have a short quiz about startup, no? And count if you can survive the startup life. Okay? Yeah, so first question, funding challenge. A startup is struggling to secure funding. What's the most effective strategy to attract investors? Ayan, pitch time. Is it A, lower valuation? B, strong product market fit? C, aggressive marketing campaign, sorry. And letter D, hiring a celebrity spokesperson. So keep that in mind. Score yourself, no? Honesty na lang. Okay, now you have your answer. Okay. The answer is strong product market fit, no? That's important for you. Next. Pa-assist na lang pag, ayan. Market competition. A major competitor launches a similar product. Ayan, sumikat na kasi. May copycat tuloy. What's the best immediate response? Is it A, price war? No? B, product differentiation? C, merging with the competitor? Or letter D, ignoring the competition? Ayan, okay? Keep that in mind. Anong balak niyong gawin? Okay, the answer is product differentiation. Okay? So dapat may unique factor yung product mo, right? As a startup to as a startup. Next, team management. Okay, now may several components na sa team naman. A key team member is underperforming. Ayan, what's the best approach? A, pagalitan mo agad. Publicly criticize them. B, offer additional training. C, replace them immediately. Fire agad. No? Or D, ignore the issue. No? Hayaan na lang. Okay? Alright? So, let's check. Dapat additional training. No? Next. Product development. Okay? A product launch is delayed. Yan, very common to. What's the best course of action? Is it A, rush the launch? No, may deadline tayo eh. Kailangan i-follow yun. B, postpone the launch indefinitely. Hintayin natin ready na talaga ang product. C, communicate transparently with customers. Mag-press release. Delayed po kami. Or D, blame external factors. May bagyo kasi. Di ba? So, is it C? No? Tell your customers, be transparent. Okay? And last question, customer feedback. Negative customer reviews are increasing. Baka minadali yung product. How should the startup respond? A. Ignore the negative feedback. B. Argue with the customers. Mali pa gagamit mo ng product namin. C. Actively address the issues. Or D. Offer discounts to appease the customers. Okay? So let's check the answer. Actively address the issue. Okay? So yun yung suggested answer dito. Of course, these are just, high-level questions and high-level answers. And in your startup, you will have different scenarios that you'll have to overcome. And depending on the situation, you might have to react differently. Okay? So I hope you scored yourself, and kudos to those that got 5 out of 5. Ayun, may nagka-clap. 5 out of 5 siya. Yay! Congrats! So congrats! You secured additional runway. Buhay pa startup mo after 3 years. Right? Yan yung common 3 years. Either you survive or next startup na lang. Okay, but what is a startup? Now, let's define a startup. And I like this quote from Neil, which is, a startup is a company working to solve a problem. So may issue siyang ina-address, okay? Where the solution is not obvious and success is not guaranteed. Okay? But it has to be done. Yan yung gusto ko yan pala dito. But it has to be done. So again, we're with the AWS Community Day. So who builds on AWS? Right? So we know enterprise customers build on AWS. Itong mga Jollibee, EV, Globe, Smart, they all build on AWS. No? Why? Because AWS gives you their security, compliance, privacy, requirements, scale. Right? So they have that enterprise level support. We also know that the public sector in other countries use AWS heavily. A little bit on ours as well, but mostly a lot of other countries use AWS. In fact, Ukraine, okay, is 100% AWS. And so that's why it was easy for them to shift when the operations did not stop at all when the conflict happened, because they can easily move a region. Okay, so the government can use AWS. So as startups, we should also use AWS. Why? Because it gives us tools that can spark an idea, leverages first customer and IPO, but again, the same tools that an enterprise and the public sector has is also available to you as a startup. No differentiating factor too much aside from maybe the region, special for government, but the exact same tools that the enterprise and the government has, you also have available. No? Although malaki lang yung credit card nila, sa'yo hindi masyado, but the same tools are available. Right? Yan. So you can see there's a lot of startups that use AWS. Here are just some examples all over ASEAN, Asia. Okay, just examples there. Okay, but again, how do we mix the startups and cloud together? Okay, let's look at the DNA of Ano ba to? What is the DNA of a startup? A startup, okay, has a lot of risk. Okay. So it has to have some fault tolerance, it has some security risk that you have to address. Okay? You also have to be very flexible as a startup. Sometimes they say, follow the money. Your initial product might be good, but walang customers, and so you might have to pivot. Right? And you also have to do continuous development. Okay? Next, a lot of startups work remotely. No? Leveraging the idea that talent can be spread across, or the best talent is spread across geographic location, right? So there's a lot of collaboration needed. Okay. Next, you have to be innovative as a startup. You are solving a problem, right? And you also need to be a differentiator. Okay. Next, a lot of startups are young. not just the founders. Okay, actually, it's a misconception that the founders is the young ones. It's actually the startup is young. Okay, average startup is around founder age is around 40 actually, not young. No, yung average, but because there's a lot, not a lot, right? So never too late for a startup. Okay, but you have to be the first mover a lot of times, meaning you have to educate. The burden of educating your customers is with you as a startup. Okay? There's a cost involved with that. And lastly, growth. You have to scale and rapidly deploy. Okay? So these are the DNA of a startup. No? Many challenges here, as you can see. But luckily, with AWS, you also can leverage its benefits. And you can see it quite aligns to the DNA of a startup. So first is you trade capital expense for variable expense. You need that money, okay, to run longer. You don't want to make very large upfront investments. So your day-to-day operation, tigi-tigi, mga sulit, diba? Is what you need. So one advantages is, of course, OPEX versus CAPEX. Okay, next, again, you want to grow this. Okay, over time, so you can get the massive economies of scale, not just for yourself, but if AWS has a lot of customers, that savings is also passed to you, right? So you leverage all that savings as well in the scale. Next, it's measurement driven, okay? Especially since it's remote, right? You don't have access to the physical server, you have to rely on metrics, okay? Metrics is also built in with the services. Okay, so you will stop guessing the capacity. Next, again, because you do a lot of pivot as a startup, you do a lot of experiment, the resources in AWS is pay as you go. Meaning you can treat your resources as expendable. Oops, I wanna try MongoDB. It doesn't work for me. It only cost me 2 hours, right? You don't have to get committed to that MongoDB instance for long term. Okay, you treat your resources as disposable, as needed. Okay. Next, similar to CapEx and OPEX, you stop spending money on running and maintaining data centers. Instead, you focus your money on building the solution, perhaps getting the best talent. Okay, so no maintenance, no backups. Not saying no as in no, but meaning you don't do the admin work of that, right? Instead, you let AWS do that, okay, automatically for you. Because a lot of them have built-in automated admin tasks. And lastly, of course, as a startup, you want to go global in minutes, right? Basically, what you build now can be deployed in other regions, or you can even serve the same kind of experience globally using things like CloudFront or a CDN. No? All right. Sorry. Oops, na-confuse yung clicker ko. Saan ba dapat naka-point to clicker na to? Sa taas, okay, yan. So basically, AWS allows startups to grow, okay, with zero upfront cost, launch faster, experiment often, and you focus on your core business value. Okay, and hopefully that savings, if you need to pivot, you can cycle that around and around and around. Okay, so how do startups deploy in AWS? Just some sample ideas. Okay, remember, minsan from Wiki Oliveros, taga-Tagalog, no? Yan. Pag masyadong komplikado, mali yun, no? Especially for a startup. If it's too complex, it's a mistake. Okay? So, there are many questions that you might ask, such as, okay, I need a WordPress site. Okay, where can I host my simple WordPress? Okay, you might ask that. And we have things like Lightsail, okay, or EC2 that is AMI already related, packaged, okay. You want to run Docker? Okay, it's available. Okay, you want a lot of tools, as Paul mentioned, there's a lot of tools, even AI, ML tools, okay, quick platforms, etc., etc. Saan yun? Ayan. Right. So of course, again, there's a lot of options for you. These are just some of it. Okay. Like Sail, you can use it as a platform as a service. If you need virtual machines or containers, if that's your flavor, you can run it on top of an EC2, ECS, AKS, Uprunner, etc., etc. There's a lot. Okay. If you want to experiment, look at some of the marketplace solutions as well. And in fact, look at also some quick starts and CloudFormation templates out there. And lastly, although it's not in this slide, a lot of startups also start with serverless frameworks. Okay, serverless frameworks, as it is a good OpEx model as well. Okay. So what are the things that you must keep in mind as well? So next steps, if you are running a startup, okay, don't forget to right-size your service. Make sure it grows with the demand. Okay? Make your business elastic. Select the right pricing model. Okay? Maybe as you grow already, you now have stable traction. Maybe it's now the time to do reserving. Okay? And other discount models. Next, match storage type to your need. Okay? If you need a database, okay, then use a database. But if you just need flat storage, then maybe an object storage such as S3 is better for you. Okay? Okay, where was I? Again. Design infrastructure with budget in mind. Now, be a frugal architect. Okay, frugal architect as well. Don't sacrifice cost for rapid growth. Review best practices, learn from the community, and understanding and staying on top of your spend. One of the things, somebody just recently reached out to me. Nag-bill siya ng, I think, $6,000 because they turned on their EFS and they didn't have any billing alert and forgot about it. So again, I always tell people, first step, after opening an account, make a billing alarm. Billing alarm agad. If you've seen some of our horror stories in our podcast, ayun, madaming ganyan. No? Billing alarm number 1. Okay? There's also a book for anyone who wants to do startups. Look for a startup guide to AWS ASEAN edition. Okay? So this is a free ebook as well. And what can startups do? They can always ask for help using the AWS Activate. Okay? It is a low-cost, easy-to-use program, okay, that provides credits. Ayun, credits pa lang, natunog na, training and support. Okay? And these are just some of the criteria. Number 1, it's bootstrapped. Okay? Number 2, it must have at least 2 members. No startup na 1 member lang. Dapat may 2. Okay, need to have an MVP. Okay, hindi lang concept. Dapat may at least may MVP, may slide decks, etc. And then a meeting between the scout and the startup. Okay. And again, that enables you to get as much as $5,000 US dollars as a startup. No? And there are actually a lot more. What I mentioned was this through the Startup Scout. You can do the Founders Program, Portfolio Program, Migrate, Jumpstart, Mentorship. Then there's also the ATN Global Startup Program. There's actually a lot of program available for you as startups. Okay? Yan, hinahanap ko talaga yung card na yan eh. Nasaan na yung nakaupo doon? Yun. So actually, I'm good na. So that's it. Thank you so much. And for any feedback, please, you can email me at awsug.ph. I'm also active in LinkedIn. I do have a podcast, as I mentioned, with Rafa Computer. Please do like and follow. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sir Rafi, for that valuable insight. Allow me to present to you the Certificate of Appreciation. This is presented to Raphael Francis Quisumbing, in recognition of your invaluable contribution as a speaker at AWS Community Day Davao 2024. Once again, that's Sir Rafi, everyone. And before we proceed, I would like to announce that here's how